Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of BIIC Sponsor Spotlight. Today we have with us Todd Jones, CEO of QBE North America. Welcome, Todd. We are so excited to speak with you today.
Amy, great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Let's get started. So can you please tell us about yourself, your role at QBE, and how you got into the insurance industry?
I can. It's going to be a very boring story, but I can. Probably like many people you speak to, I did not grow up desiring to be in the insurance industry. It was sort of a bit of an accident, but I finished school. I got into banking right after school, realized I had made a horrible mistake in going into banking. It's probably more about my individual maturity than banking. But spent some time, meeting with folks and talking with folks about sort of other different industries, and ended up stumbling upon somebody who said, you would be a great insurance broker. I candidly didn't know what that meant at the time, but she was kind enough to get me an interview with a company called Johnson & Higgins, which you may have heard of, which was a very large privately held insurance broker at the time. And I was lucky enough to go through an interview process. I really enjoyed the people I met, the culture, and the interesting work that they were doing. And they'd offered me a job, and so I joined J&H in Atlanta, and then began kind of a career first as a technical contributor. Then probably 2007, began kind of leading smaller businesses, and have been really fortunate to be surrounded by mentors and sponsors and others who took an interest in me, and ultimately kept doing more and more and more. And a little over 3 years ago was very fortunate to get the opportunity to come and lead QBE's North American business.
That's awesome to hear, because most of the time, out of all these interviews, no one has ever said, I woke up one day and said, I want to go to insurance. So
right. Put me in that category as well.
It's refreshing to hear it. And it's also refreshing to hear that you enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
So what made QBE decide to become one of the founding sponsors for BIIC?
Yeah, well, it was pretty easy, to be honest with you, just given the mission of the organization. But we, our purpose is around enabling a more resilient future, more resilient world. And so we spent a lot of time thinking about, are we a purpose-led company? What are the things that we're doing to really support bringing the purpose to life, being able to sort of demonstrate the things that we're doing around our purpose. And the mission of BIIC just fits so well with sort of this mission of enabling a more resilient future. And because a big part of creating a resilient future is being able to build talent and capability in our business that can help serve clients, solve really complex problems. And we think the way you do that is both through greater diversity, but also leaning in and getting a different group of colleagues together that bring different perspectives and experiences to get to a better outcome. So it was really pretty simple to look at the mission of the organization and what they're doing. I think also, and it's really a testament to the organization, the other sponsors and other companies that have leaned in on this as well. And you've talked to many of them. And if you think about, kind of my peer group and other organizations that we happen to do business with, if you sort of reflect on if your mother ever said, you're judged by the company you keep.
Yes.
This is the perfect example where we feel like we're aligned with some great organizations, all sort of, trying to sort of lean in and help solve and make a difference in a really important subject.
Awesome. And I know BIIC definitely appreciates the mission that you guys have internally, as well as the support of BIIC. As the leader of the North American division of an Australian insurer, you bring a unique perspective on the different ways DEI and belonging can present itself in the United States versus other parts of the world. Can you share your thoughts on this?
I can. And first of all, thank you for making me feel like I bring a unique perspective. So let's start with that. But you're right. QBE is an Australian-based company. We're a global company, so we have operations all over the world. But our home office is Australia. And I can remember shortly after I joined the company, when we have meetings both within the company, or we have meetings involving sort of a number of people outside the company, we start every meeting with an acknowledgement of the Indigenous people of Australia. And we will acknowledge both the fact that we sit on the lands that were that of the Indigenous people. We pay our respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. And at the first time I'd sort of heard this, I thought, what is this all about?
Right.
I really didn't understand it. And the more I really got to understand why we do that, and that it's our way of truly paying respects, I thought that was really cool and really sort of a great thing to do. It's now something that I'm not just to become comfortable with, I actually really appreciate that we do as an organization. So that's sort of just one example of what life is like outside of the US and how we see that. What's also interesting is at its core, while there may be different issues that exist in different parts of the world, different countries, whether it may be around race, it may be around belonging, maybe around other things related to sort of disabilities. There's a common thread that exists through all of this. I think we're all trying to make progress on sort of bringing people together to create a better culture, to create a better environment, to create, frankly, just a better world. And so while what I've come to appreciate is while the things that I wake up every day and thinking about is what's going on here in the US or more broadly in North America, these are the same issues that my colleagues are sort of thinking about, trying to problem solve. And there's great power in collaboration. There is just, somebody said to me a long time ago, a problem shared is a problem halved. And I really believe that the more people you can kind of bring around the table to help bring perspectives, it's just at the end of the day going to create a better place.
I totally agree with that, and I love the fact that you do acknowledge the land, indigenous people's land. And I've noticed in the U.S., like before a few meetings, I've heard a few people do it, but as a historian,
it's cool.
That's like my old job. I know it takes work to even look to see, who owned that land and things of that nature. So I totally
but it's
appreciate
intentional
that.
And it's cool. And I like
Absolutely,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
So how do you see the mission and work of BIIC influencing the industry as a whole?
Yeah, so we talked earlier about the importance of the mission. And, gosh, I think, I joke, I'm closer to the end of my career than the beginning of my career. And so I've been at this quite some time. But, I think the work that BIIC is doing, it has been work that's needed to be done since I got into the industry, right? It's just that this idea of broader representation. And so the mission itself is so critically important. And and this is just sort of my point of view, that, and I'll use kind of economic terms, that we don't, when it comes to representation, I don't think we have a demand issue. I think there's unlimited demand. We have a supply issue. We need to just create more people that are coming into this industry that are of diverse backgrounds, whether that be color or anything else, and create kind of a platform that they can come and build a career, but not just come into the industry, but actually have the benefit of what I enjoyed, which is a career of growth and development through the industry, and hopefully at some day be sitting around the top table across many, many different organizations that participate, in our business. And so it really isn't just bringing people together to create better representation, but it's the leadership development, it's the growth that I'm really attracted to, because I just finished a conversation earlier today where we talked about the importance of technical ability. We operate in a very technical industry, and so you need to bring great technical acumen. But oftentimes the difference between winning and failing is leadership.
Right.
It's real core, whether it's people leadership, strategic leadership. And so what BIIC is doing to kind of help bring together and focus attention on getting more people into the industry, creating real career paths and opportunities for these people is hugely powerful. And I joked I'm at close to the end of my career, but I'm encouraged and I'm hopeful that 5, 10, 15 years down the line, we're going to be able to look around boards of directors, we're going to be able to look around C-suites, and we're going to see a much richer tapestry of people that sit around that table than we have today. But it all starts, with the work that's happening here. And,
Right.
And it's hard. I think in anything that seems really big, like really daunting, like how are we going to do this? There's a colleague of mine in Europe who had a great way of sort of phrasing, how do you tackle a really big issue? And he said, well, let's just start by starting. Like, let's just start.
Right.
and then we'll figure it out. But let's start. And so I think the work that BIIC is doing is such a great start. And as I said earlier, it's only endorsed by, you think about the number of organizations that are surrounding this that really want to lean in and help. So it's easy to be attracted to it. I mean, it's really easy to be attracted to it. And I think the bigger challenge for all of us is, how do we really make a difference? How do we really make progress?
And to that point, you said earlier about collaboration and how important that is. And, BIIC is trying to do the work, but of course, BIIC cannot do it alone. So does QBE currently have any internal initiatives that, that they're doing or that you're really proud of?
Yeah, we do. We do. It would be odd if we were having this conversation and I didn't. So so we do. And, one of the things, and I'll preface this by saying that this isn't what I'm going to describe. It's not like we've sort of created this and nobody else is. This is very unique to the industry. This is unique for us. Mm-hmm. Other organizations, thankfully, are, I'm sure, doing very similar things, but it's unique for us, and so we're proud of it. So we've created this early entrant program, which is back to sort of the supply and demand. How do we get more people into this industry, help create a foundation, mm-hmm. and then sort of help them build a career from that point? And so it's really started with internships, and we've been doing this for quite some time. We focused on internships at colleges and universities that have risk management curriculum, mm-hmm. actuarial curriculum, where they're more closely linked to what it is that we do as a business. We've recently partnered with the United Negro College Fund to create scholarships there. And there it's really about just providing some financing and opportunity to create some recognition for the industry, in this case QBE, but more broadly mm-hmm. in the industry. And then most recently, QBE has got a fantastic crop insurance business. And it's a business that before coming to QBE, I can't say I really knew a whole lot about. Some people would say I still don't know a whole lot about, but it's just a fantastic business full of really great people that serve the American farmer. And so it's about as Americana as you can imagine mm-hmm. as a business. But it is not a very diverse business. Right. When you look at the demographics of the workforce, it just isn't. And so we created some internships at historically black colleges and universities that have agriculture programs. So we sort of identified a handful of these places, created some internships to bring these people into the organization, to have them spend some time in claims and underwriting and some of the support functions, so that they can get exposed to what's it like working at an insurance company that's connected to the crop insurance business. And I had a chance at the end of the term, this was all via video, so mm-hmm. this is in the middle of COVID, but I had a chance to meet the interns and talk about their experience. And I was so blown away at just the presence and smarts and capabilities of these kids who were in college. They were still completing their college. We made job offers to all of them. Oh, wow. Not all of them accepted, but we made job offers to all of them. And then that's a program that's probably today 3 times the size it was when we originally kicked it off. So we're trying to kind of create, while they're still kind of in college, mm-hmm. Some attractiveness. So then once they're out of college, we've created an early entry underwriting program where we want to bring people in to what is our back office center, which sits in Madison, Wisconsin, to have a year's worth of highly intensive underwriting training. So they learn how to become a proper underwriter. They learn with a cohort of other people that are doing the same thing, so they create relationships. We can bring people in to deliver specific curriculum to them, whether it's around technical stuff, whether it's around leadership training that we talked about earlier. And then eventually, a year later, they will be sort of released into the system in order to become full-fledged underwriters. And our hopes that what we're doing is building a group of people that, one, find a way to love insurance the way mm-hmm. we love insurance, but that they see a path to build a really interesting and fulfilling career. And that they like the culture of the company, that we've trained them appropriately. And we feel like if we, and when I say we, I mean the collective we, like the industry, like if we are doing this, we are investing in building the capability and talent, throwing the net as wide as we mm-hmm. possibly can to make sure we're capturing enough diversity of sort of thought, diversity of, as I said, race, disability, et cetera. Then we're going to have, we will then create that supply that I talked about earlier, to sort of meet the demand. So it's early days.
Right.
But we're really excited about the program. And it's also great to be on college campuses and, talk to kids. And I mean, my kids, they don't like that I'm in the insurance business. They don't think that's cool. But when I describe it as, well, I'm in the insurance business, but I'm in the risk business.
Right.
And it's the same thing, but it sounds cooler. And they want to talk, well, you're in the risk business. That's really interesting. Explain more to me. And you can have a conversation about what it is we do, the importance that insurance plays in the global economy, the interesting things you could do across the entire industry, from technology to finance, to actuary, to underwriting, to sales. It all exists here. You just have to sort of be willing to step into the front door and find it. And so we're really excited about it. I'll come back in a couple of years' time and tell you we've created these amazing underwriters, but hopefully it all works out. But as I said, we're not alone. We're not alone in this journey. We're just happy to play a little part of it.
And that little part, I think, means the most, because every little bit helps. So I love the fact that you are working with HBCUs, specifically those who have the ag department. So that's really awesome to hear. So what other DEI-related initiatives is QBE currently implementing, either internally or externally? Yeah,
the other one I'd flag is, we actually just announced this. We release every year with our annual report in February, a sustainability report.
Okay.
And as you can imagine, it's a report that we report out on kind of the broader subject of sustainability. And we announced that going forward that we're going to be publishing metrics around inclusion of diversity. So we have set IOD targets that are globally consistent. So not just in North America, here are the targets around inclusion of diversity. And it cuts across sort of what we describe as the 4 dimensions of diversity. So it would be gender, it would be race and ethnicity, it would be disability, and it would be LGBTIQ plus identification. So those are the sort of the 4 dimensions. And our goal is to report out on how we are doing as an organization in terms of belonging as it relates to these 4 dimensions, these 4 sort of classifications. And we're doing that, as I said, globally consistently. So it's not just, here's what it is in North America. We've set consistent reporting standards that we have for the entire company. And our goal is to sort of publicly show what is the progress we're making as it relates to these 4 dimensions. I'm particularly excited about it. I think that phrase, what gets measured gets done.
Right.
I think this is one of those areas where you really have to hold yourself accountable. One of the challenges is, in order to really understand progress, we need people to identify.
Yes.
And that's been, I think, in our organization, like many, not a challenge, but a real opportunity to sort of educate on why we're doing this and how intentional we want to be about making sure we really understand the state of mind about this part of the population and our ability to just be more relevant and more helpful and impactful. So we will report out in February of 2024. I can't tell you what it's going to look like. I hope what it'll show is both good progress, but at a minimum, it'll be a benchmark for us to build.
Right.
And I think that's the important part, is we want to understand where we are today for the purpose of making progress down the road.
Well, this is a lot of good news that you shared with us today. I'm excited to see what QBE does now and in the future. It has been a pleasure to speak with you, to meet you.
It's been great to spend time with you as well. And I got to recognize all my colleagues back at QBE who are the ones that are making all this happen. So they're doing a great job every day helping us make progress. But it was great spending time with you too.
Definitely. So thank you all for joining us today. I'm Amy Cole-Smith, Director of Diversity at the Institute. And today we spoke with Todd Jones, CEO of QBE North America. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Amy.